Hi, I'm Layla Bradbeer, I identify as she, her, and I am the designer of Georgia and the Iceberg. I am a white woman in her early 20s with short brown hair, and I'm currently wearing a stripy top that is grey and blue. It was quite a long process. First it started with just a couple of discussions and we had an R&D period, so the script was still in development. So it was a lot more about talking about the themes of the show and kind of thinking about that, and also thinking about what standards we were going to hold ourselves to. The show is it's a good commentary on the climate crisis, and so we had to be sustainable when it came to the design process. So it was a lot of how are we going to make the show as sustainable as possible, how are we going to make props, source costumes, and how are we going to do it within our budget. And a lot of it was thinking about colour and thinking about the environment. So we're set in Antarctica, and so me and Ryan, the director, had a big book of pictures of Antarctica, and we would look through and we would kind of talk about colours, and we would look at photos and look at form, and then that's something that I kind of took into our design, was thinking about shape and colour, and a lot about scale. So we use puppetry within the show, so an important part of it was thinking about how we make such a large space in a small space. It was very bare bones during the research and development. We were just trying things out, we were still kind of getting the story together, but one of the biggest things that changed is probably the sustainability aspect of it. I had a lot of time between the R&D and the actual kind of tour to think about how we were going to achieve things in the best possible way, and what was the best practice. And so a lot of that was sourcing second-hand objects and having the most amount of time, and just thinking about how we were gonna, the life cycle of the design, where things were going to go after the show and what we would use, and so that was the main thing that's changed from the R&D. And the puppet, I think with a puppet it changes with every performer, and I'm very keen on we collaborate with the performer to make the puppet work for them and do what they want the physicality of the penguin to do. So that was one of the biggest things. Community is really important, being able to reach out to other people, and to look for resources that will kind of support you, and just being able to go, does anyone have this, reaching out to community saying, can you keep all of your plastic rubbish for us to use in the show. People are very willing to help you out if you need it. I think second of all is always thinking about what's going to happen to this after the show. And can we recycle it? If we can't recycle it, can it be upcycled into something else? And then the third, I think, is probably having time is one of the most important things. All of the costumes are pretty much sourced secondhand, and that takes time because you need to find things in different sizes, and you need to find the thing that's right. I think fourth, the most important thing is don't have too much of a plan, weirdly. I think work from what you have around you. Definitely the costume design's changed about what was readily available, and sometimes that's really beautiful because you get something you weren't expecting and it works even better than you ever thought it could. Oh, it's really tough because everything is really fun. I think I'm torn between two. So actually I really loved making this during the R&D for Penguin's dinner. He's a penguin that loves, he kind of appropriates human traits, which is quite fun. So I was kind of thinking about what a penguin picnic would look like if it was slightly human. So he's got his knives and fork and cutlery that he never uses, but he collects with his fish. And then probably second of all is our little mini Georgia, which has been so much fun to make tiny dungarees and to make it to little scale, and she's just so much fun, and I can't wait to see it fully finished and to the actors to bring her to life.